Number 7. Logan Nelson from Jigsaw. Now, I know what you're all going to say. Really? This guy makes the top 9? Really? Well, first of all, screw you. Matt Passmore is awesome, and so is Logan Nelson, the character. Now, here's why this character works so well for me. Number 1, you see him as a relatable character early on. The first scene in the entire movie that you see him, it's just him playing catch up with his daughter. I was like, okay, well, that's nice. And then you see him go right back to work as a pathologist working with Eleanor Bonneville to help trying to figure out and solve the current Jigsaw murder case. But then you go into more of his backstory. Yeah, while we still don't know fully his true character motivations serving as the Jigsaw killer, spoiler alert from Jigsaw if you haven't seen it already, we see his interactions not only with Eleanor Bonneville, but with Keith Hunt and with Detective Halloran, and we kind of see just what kind of person he is. And the fact that he has a very interesting background character that the films have yet to explore makes his character all the more fascinating. The series is not even done yet, and I'm still looking forward to where they take this character. Not only as a former military background, not only as a father, but also as a true Jigsaw disciple. We have yet to discover what his relationship with John Kramer is, but we get the feeling that maybe John Kramer meant a lot to him throughout the end of the film as we reveal that he is the true antagonist of the film. But this is still a character worth exploring more down the line.
Every time I rewatch this movie, I get a little bit more out of Logan's character. As Jacob said, seeing him as a family man, but also cunning enough to not only take up John's traps, recreate them, and put everybody into a tailspin trying to figure out what is going on, we have someone who can potentially pick up the legacy of John Kramer and run with it. And somebody who is so far flung back into the narrative that you could potentially bring back some of the iconic characters that we're going to be talking about later in this list to do flashbacks and just have a reason to bring them back all together, even though it's more than a decade out. As Jacob already pointed out, it might seem weird to put Logan on this list because we've only seen him in one movie. A lot of people thought the twist was a little bit hamstrung, and we don't know whether we're going to see him again, but right now it seems like we have a promise from the creatives that they're going to be having these characters come back in some way, shape, or form down the line, and just the absolute tease of that brings up so much thoughts and speculation that, at least for me, I'm not speaking for Jacob right now, maybe he can say something, but it puts a lot of artificial excitement into his character and what he might mean for the overall narrative going forward. And you know what? If I'm honest, that's pretty much all I've ever wanted from the Saw franchise. I mean, we can sit around and talk about acting ability, little nuances of characters, and really try to dive very deep into why this particular character is as good as he is on multiple rewatches. But honestly, speaking as somebody who has been a fan of this series ever since 2004 when it was initially released, I have to say the biggest thing that I ever really wanted out of a Saw film is kind of the overall narrative, the possibility for more films and more interactions in delving into this entire world. And even though a lot of people, kind of rightfully so, look at Logan's character as kind of a cheap knockoff of Jigsaw, somebody who retreads the exact same trope that we've seen multiple times before, and ultimately doesn't bring a whole lot to the franchise, I think in terms of world building, you'd be generally hard-pressed to find a character as useful, not only in this film, but possibly future sequels, that can bring as much to the table as Logan did within Jigsaw. I mean, we're definitely going to have to wait to see what Spiral does with the overall continuity and story within this world, but you know what, guys? Can I just say, God, 2020 has just been terrible. Do you realize that we would have already had Spiral out for literally 5 months now if everything was still going according to plan? We would be talking about the Spiral characters on this list, because I guarantee you there's no way that Samuel Jackson and Chris Rock are going to not end up on this list. I'm sure that they're going to be decent characters. And even, what if Matt Passmore shows up in Spiral? That would give us a lot more to talk about his character, because we would get to see what his future trajectory in the franchise is going to be. What about Costas Mandalore? What about Tobin Bell? I mean, geez. I'm sorry. I have to at least address this in one of these videos, and maybe I'll talk about it in another one. I don't know, but I'm just going to put it out there and say this year sucks. And just quite frankly, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this series with Jacob. just to kind of relive and get excited about a series that I genuinely love. And honestly, just working on this series is showing me just how much I care for it. The Saw franchise, its aesthetic, all of its iconography. Given the fact that it's been within the wide culture for about 16 years now, kind of makes me mad that a lot of people do not count Jigsaw with all of the other icons of horror. People like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Chucky, Pinhead, Leatherface, and the like. All of which, besides probably Chucky, have rebooted or never really had any real story to begin with. And yet, 8 movies in, no matter how crazy that it gets, the Saw franchise is willing to introduce a character like Logan. A character with a checkered past and scars both figuratively and literally, and connections far back enough to literally touch every single point within the timeline that we know about within the universe. On your second or maybe even third watch of Jigsaw, Logan might not be the character that comes to mind that deserves to be on this list. I completely understand that. The reason I can tell you why he's here is because he represents the dedication to the continuity that the Saw franchise has held over its head throughout its entire existence. That absolutely knows that it cannot retcon the death of its main character, or become so supernatural in the way that so many other horror icons have become. But to ever so slightly retcon just enough that would allow the series not to only progress into the future, but also look back and hold on to some of its most useful tropes. I mean, seriously, people fall over themselves for the MCU, and the Saw franchise is just using basic comic book logic here. When it comes down to it, Logan is a different character. He's interesting, and he's one that I would really love to see explored in future sequels. Hopefully we get that chance. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the third entry in this 2020 version of SAW-Tober. Again, make sure to come back every single day as we count down the top 9 characters in the Saw franchise, and head over in the description section below to Jacob's channel, where we're going to be talking about the 9 worst characters over there. SAW-Tober this year is double the fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. It's been real.